I just want to ask you. So, with AI transforming, organizations and work, why are these human skills like communication, confidence, and leadership? Why is it becoming even more important?
You know, the if we think about what's happening, where AI is automating a lot of technical knowledge, a lot of kind of basic kinds of things, what that then does is it puts pressure on all
Mm,
of us to raise our game, right? I mean, so let me give an example to Steve. I think about people who are in sales. And it used to be you have a meeting, I got to debrief my meeting, I write up my notes, I got to compose an email as a follow up, maybe I'm going to work on a proposal. All those things are time consuming things. Now, I can have an AI note taker summarize everything,
oh
do a
yeah,
follow up
within
email,
minutes.
and draft a proposal in a if that could have been hours of my time as a salesperson, but now
Yeah,
it's literally minutes. So now, what that says is I need to be prepared to interact with people at a higher level. I mean, people are going to have a higher expectation. I need to be able to listen better, ask better questions, be better researched.
yeah,
When I go into a meeting, and if I've got two salespeople and one is, say, leveraging AI effectively and one is not, the one who's leveraging AI is going to be far stronger. And we've heard that this common thing that it's not AI that's going to take your job, it's going to be someone who's using AI to take your job. So I think
yeah.
about my kids. All six of my kids are, my youngest two are 19, my oldest is 27, twin boys, and then four daughters. And the thing I keep saying is, these types of, and by the way, all of them have gone through Dale Carnegie. They all took Dale Carnegie teen programs, and it was a huge thing for all of
You
them.
get a family discount.
Uh, yeah. Well, actually, now that I'm the CEO of the company, I get a great discount. But I had some of them going into Dale Carnegie even long before I
Yeah,
came to the company, just because my commitment to myself, and I don't want to digress too much here, but the commitment I made to myself was I wish I had taken Dale Carnegie when I was younger. I was 27 when I took it. I wish I'd been younger. So my commitment was when my kids are old enough, I'm going to have them take this program because as a parent, I need to make sure I'm helping my kids prepare for their future. So
yeah.
my two oldest daughters were 14 and 15 when they took the course, long before I came to Dale Carnegie, or a couple, at least several years before. So, but to the point, I'm saying to them, look, the kinds of skills that are going to be really important in the years ahead, they're emotional intelligence, social intelligence, creative intelligence, your ability to be empathetic, to be able and to understand, to see things from another person's point of view, to be able to have the confidence and the communication skills that you can lead and you can influence. Those kinds of things are going to be really, really important in an era of AI. So I am
Yeah.
encouraging them and other people just to invest heavily in them.
I tend to agree with that because I think everything is so technology driven at the moment. I just think that the humanistic side of things are now getting elevated, and it's getting amplified because at the end of the day we all playing off the same platform, but it's more going to be the people that understand, like you say, the empathy part of it, the good leaders, the people that bring people along for the ride. I think that's going to be very important. So, in your perspective, looking at the next 10 years, what leadership skill do you think will separate the good leaders from the average leader?
I think the answer ties a little bit even to the point you just made, Rian, which is,
Hmm.
we have a 30 Dale Carnegie principles from how to win friends and influence people, 30 from how to stop worrying and start living. And people will ask me sometimes, what's your favorite principle? Which is hard because they're all great principles.
Yeah,
But the one I think that's really, really important, especially today, is number 17, which is to try honestly to see things from another person's point of view. Because if
hmm,
I mean, and so much ties to that. If I want to have strong relationships, if I want to have trust, if I want to be able to influence people, I really have to see things from their point of view. I need to be able to ask good questions. So I need to understand, Rian, if you and I are working together, like, what's important to you? Why are you here? Like,
yeah,
what's your vision for yourself? And how do I help make sure that your vision is aligned to what we're doing so that you're going to be engaged here. I can bring out the best in you. I can support you, but so much of that starts with just trying to see things from another person's point of view. And I would also add, I think that's one of the most missing qualities today as we think about how polarized our world is. We have strong
Yeah.
opinions. We go from zero to angry the second somebody else has a different opinion or something. And so
Yep.
that ability to lead, I think, and you talk, Malik, in your book about vision being an important part of leadership. Clearly, if I'm going to cast a vision, I have to understand, I mean, who's my team? What matters to them? Motivates them? What's their why? So I think that's a foundational thing that's going to be even more important. And social media and other things make it kind of hard sometimes to want to. We're just so anxious to give our opinion or to say this is what I think or you're wrong, which is another Dale
Yeah.
Carnegie principle, which is try to avoid arguments and never say you're wrong and things like that. So
So I relate a lot to what you're saying, Joe, because in May 2024, I was invited to attend the Skills for Success, the Dale Carnegie course, and you were pivotal in helping me get to that course. I remember contacting you. I didn't know you at all at the time, and it was just like one of those blind sending an email and and then you respond to it, and then you connect me with the Montreal Center. My brother played also a role in that, given that he had connections with them, and it really was in a pivotal moment in my career. I took full advantage because you know how it is when you go from being an employee to being your own self-employed. It was around the same time, and the timing couldn't be more perfect. And I had to attend a lot of networking events during that period. I wasn't accustomed to doing any of that. And I had to fly to clients and do presentations on the fly. So every week I had something that was completely outside of my comfort zone. And it just so happened that it was in parallel to those courses. And it was life changing because every one of the principles, as you're speaking, I was applying them. Like, so I would go to the theory and then I would come back to the trainer whose name was Rudy. And I would tell him, I'm like, okay, you know what? I applied this, I applied this, I applied this worked, this worked. And it's so different. And I want to tell like the audience, it's very, very different when you're attending a course as opposed to living a course, right? And
Oh,
this
yeah.
is what I was doing. I was really digesting the material and putting it in practice. And you do see results. I mean, I remember putting the 3 points when you're presenting, how to be concise, how to remember people's names, and all of these. It goes over your head, right? Because you think these things maybe not that important, in life. But it's incredible how these things got me certain client work because of I applied them. And I wanted to thank you. I'm glad that you're here in person so that I could thank you for making the connection. I'll also shout out to some of the people that were pivotal in this. Alexandra Fishner, I hope I said that correctly. She's the president of the Montreal site. Oren Wayne Traub, did I say that right? Wayne Traub? Yeah, so he's the director of transformation. Rudy Nassar, trainer. Boyan, who is the assistant. Samia was the assistant as well at the time. So really, shout out to your team. Now, this made a difference in my life.
thank you, by the way, Gabby. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you a lot and the team. But the thing I'm always wondering, why didn't I learn this earlier? Right? Why didn't I learn this earlier? So I'm an engineer. I went through engineering school. I went through all the cycles of engineering things, but I never encountered a course where it really kind of went through all of the soft skills, integrated it into building confidence and applying the principles and really putting a lot of weight on that. So do you believe that there's something in the academic space that could be changed where Dale Carnegie kind of way of working can be integrated in a more forceful way in the academic world?
Well, first of all, thank you for your question. It's one of the questions that comes up an awful lot, which is especially when people get exposed to this, they're saying, "Why didn't I get this in college?"
Or
And
earlier?
also,
Or
or
even in
earlier, like
school.
in high
Yeah.
school or grade school. You think about all the this is why I said to myself, as a young adult, I wish I'd taken this earlier. I think about all the aggravation I had in college or high school, all the stress and the interacting with people and the insecurity. It's like I think a lot of that could have been a lot better. I'd had exposure to some of these things earlier, and we do have programs. We have youth programs that. And they're localized. So whether they're offered in Montreal or not, I'm not sure. We got a fabulous team there. It'd be something to ask them. But we are integrated into a number of college systems. For example, I think in about a month, I'm going to Nashville, Tennessee, to celebrate 10 years of the Dale Carnegie course being part of the Middle Tennessee State University Business School. So awesome. Every student who takes the business school, who's a business school student, takes as part of a credit course the Dale Carnegie class. They've actually created it into a semester-long program. And so it's funny because I actually went, I've been to MTSU multiple times. I've gone with the dean and with our franchise owner there. And, one particular time I sat in the back of a class and they were doing these reports on the human relations principles. Like, so we have, which principle did you apply and what happened, and give a 2-minute magic formula talk, which is something Gabby's, we do. Mm-hmm. And this young man talked about, this experience he had with his wife and his daughter. And he kind of concluded by saying, I was excited to take this class because I knew it was going to help me in business, but it's really helping me save my marriage. Because, he and his wife were just not seeing eye to eye on something, and he started to practice this principle of trying to see things from her standpoint and so forth. And it made a big difference. So to your point, it would be great, and certainly we would love to do that. And anyone who'd like to do this, please contact me or someone at Dale Carnegie, because we find that sometimes colleges they feel like, hey, we're here to do technical skills. They'll get this stuff when they go into business. And then companies are saying, gosh, why are these people coming to us and they're not prepared to be in our company? They don't know how, they don't have the interpersonal skills, the communication skills, the context, and so forth. So would love to work with you if you have any suggestions about how to make that happen.
Absolutely. I mean, my postgraduate was an executive MBA at the John Molson School of Business. I had the same question in my heart. I was actually just shy to ask it. I'm like, how come I didn't learn that, at an executive program? And, I'd love to help if I can make the connections with the JMSB. Now, I'd like to tell our audience one thing. We are not sponsored by Dale Carnegie because it sounds so much like it. We're not paid for marketing. We actually genuinely have had personal experiences with Dale Carnegie, and just fortune, God, the world has aligned it so that we got aligned with Joe separately, each one of us, and just the stars have aligned for us to be on this podcast. So I'm just happy that it's working out because, I had completely forgot about this when I took the course with Oren Weintraub, and he came to us and we did skills for success. I started using some of the skills with my boys and my kids. And I loved the whole, you say 2 positive reinforcements and 1 thing to work on. And I realized I got a lot more traction in our conversations. So I'd constantly say, well, how did your hockey game go? Name me 2 things you liked about what you did and 1 thing you want to work on. And I thought that worked quite well. And these methods, because we're not all born whizzes at how to take care of these things, So one of the things that have touched me the most, again, I go back starting an engineering firm from scratch in Montreal on behalf of Actalent Services, which is a huge company. And we've had people come from all over the world. And I remember a young man, new immigrant, came extremely shy. I literally remember him every time I'd walk by the cafeteria, his face was down and he'd eat like this. He didn't speak to anyone. He was extremely shy. He was very self-conscious of his accent. He was brilliant, but can never get his ideas across to get them done. And we put him in the skills for success. He's still with the organization. He speaks all the time, right now. And I'm happy to see him coming out of his shell. To me, that's a good story of success, seeing the transformation of someone.